So I just told you what the show is about. I forgot that I didn't. And so if you're new, cannabis legalization, the benefits of cannabis, just general cannabis news. I believe cannabis should be legal. I believe God created cannabis for us to use as we see fit. And I show him props every Sunday, 417 Main Avenue, Antioch Church. I'm on stick duty. And we have a Christmas program, 6 p.m. There are going to be snacks. They're making me talk. I'm going to blow some jams out with my stick hands. It's that time of season, y'all. Or wait, it's that time of year? No, it's that time of season. I did it right. Right before me in the morning is Country with Trav. Right after me, Stinky Arts Music March. Got a mixtape. Then Artemis Blood Shrine is what happens after that. So, enjoy your Thursday. Make sure you check out the best independent radio station. As far as I'm concerned, tomorrow and the other days, there are stuff that might, tickle your fancy. This show is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy. Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook. Black Cottage Alchemy. 1,200 megs of CBD, locally grown hemp, whipped up into a tub with a bunch of fun El Lotiono type of stuff to keep that exterior body nice. Thank you, Black Cottage Alchemy, for sponsoring this show. Again, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. That's me. I'm your boy, Wilson. Woo! It's almost 50 outside. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm not even buttoning both my coats up. I don't know. People are complaining about El Nino in other parts of the world. My parents are on electricity restriction due to the lack of water to power their hydroelectricity plants. Dallas and all them's boo-hooing about all the water. And I say El Nino, we love El Nino in North Dakota. Absolutely. I'll take El Nino over here any day of the week when we can look at 50-degree weather. I seen some green grass on my way over here. That's crazy. So, with the end-of-year giving, think of Radio Free Fargo. Please consider making Radio Free Fargo 95.9 KRFFLP a part of your year-end giving. Like I said, Radio Free Fargo receives no government funding, though we are a nonprofit, community, all-volunteer radio station. Nor are we receiving any grant money. As a nonprofit, we are not allowed to do traditional advertising like commercial radio stations do. You can make a donation at our website, www.radiofreefargo.org. Simply choose the donation button. Please help Radio Free Fargo continue with its mission to serve the Fargo-Moorhead area. And while I'm saying it, again, you're listening to Radio Free Fargo. Business owners, managers, nonprofit organization runners considering advertising, why not learn what underwriting is on a nonprofit community radio station? To learn more about what underwriting is, please contact us at our website, www.radiofreefargo.org, or at our profile on Facebook. Why not let listeners know that you, that's you, buddy, support the community by supporting a community radio station. Again, thank you for tapping in with me. We're going to cover some cannabis news. I've got some crazy side news like I like. We've got some shroomed up pilot doing some crazy stuff in the cockpit. I'm going to share that with you. We've got some crazy dispensary robbing that's happening in Denver. They arrested like 23 bad apples. So we'll talk about that. 420, we'll open a big fat bag of cannabis news. Again, thank you for joining me. It's a beautiful Thursday. I mean, again, I almost thought about skipping the show to go to the beach. The beach. I thought about going to the beach. Well, I'm done, but I'm going to play some well, I'm not done literally. I mean, two of you is like, all right. Not so fast, bruh. So anyway, why don't we do a little music? And I'm going to temper today's episodes with a couple Christmas ditties like I like to do. It's a tradition around here. Here's my boy, the damn band. Ho, ho, ho. And Christmas can start now, can't it? Let's have Christmas starting. Ho, 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 the Dan Band. Man, I really do enjoy that song. And I didn't realize I turned myself down really low, so sorry. And how's my voice? Very, very voluptuous now, almost like I fluffed my lips for this. I didn't realize I had turned that down, and I apologize. Welcome back. Again, ho, 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 the Dan Band. Great Christmas ditty, an old classic. 95.9, radiofreefargo.org. You're streaming it anywhere and everywhere it's possible to do so. We talk about cannabis, the benefits of cannabis, just general fun stories that are usually wacky. And as a, as an ex-drug addict, if you're pumping your horse full of Molly and taking a baseline to see what happens, while he's running in a race, it's horrible, and you ought to be ashamed of yourself, but I'm probably going to cover it, I mean, if there's a crazy crack story, and we've got a couple ones, we got stuff going on here. Maybe I will cover one before we move on, but I do want to say, before I say anything else, programming on KRFF, LP, FM, Radio Free Fargo 95.9 is being underwritten by Flatland Guitar and Lutherie. Flatland Guitar is your full-service guitar shop and your exclusive dealer for Yamaha, Taylor, Paul Reed Smith guitars and other brands. They sell guitars on consignment. They take trade-ins and have a full-service on-site repair center. Check out Flatland Guitar and Lutherie on Facebook or visit them in person at their location at 1450 25th Street South in Fargo. Man, we just plugging through the red tape today. We're going to get to 420. We're going to open a big fat bag of cannabis news. I got some fun stuff for you. I got an old story. I'm sure I covered it, but it kind of showed up in my feed. And I, you know what I mean? Like, it was like, oh, I don't really remember this. And you guys might. This is from the Daily Beast. It happened August 16th last year. Alleged drug dealer accidentally tries to sell an 8-ball to the county commissioner. Well, that's precarious, right? So, and I got a kind of side note, but Florida teen was arrested Monday after a comically bad case of getting someone's phone number mixed up. Flagler County Commissioner Joe Mullins had been making personal calls to constituents last weekend ahead of upcoming elections when he received a strange text-a-rooney back from one recipient. The guy said, hey, do you still what you needed the other day? Hey, let me start over. The guy goes, hey, do you still need what you needed the other day? And I went, what are you talking about? I think you have the wrong number. Mullins said, you don't need the 8-ball? Mullins, a former coke and alcohol addict. What a crazy commissioner. Some ex-crackhead? Wow. I'm not saying I'm all about redemption. Please believe that. But, wow, right? Then set up a sting operation with the sheriff's office to meet the seller by a local lake, because if anybody knows anything about 8-ball exchange swaps, it's got to happen by a local lake. If you're not swapping and exchanging 8 balls by a local lake, you ain't doing it right, buddy. Sheriff Rick Stolley alleged that Jack Fisher, 18, brought 3.17 grams of fentanyl, so isn't it short? So he brings a short 8-ball, so like a 7.5 ball grams of fentanyl to the meeting instead of cocaine. Okay, a quantity large enough to kill 1,500 people. So right out the gate, you shouldn't be scamming me next to a local lake, because I might just weight your pockets down, bruh. I'm asking for coke, you bring me a shorted up bag of fentanyl, pow, pow, pow. And I'm just playing, I'm doing radio, okay? But I'm just saying, you shouldn't really rip off a guy next to a place you can be drowned in. I'm just saying. The rest was a rare bit of good news for Mullins, who had made headlines recently for getting into a scuffle with a woman at a voting location and telling a state trooper he runs the county after being pulled over for speeding in his red Ferrari. Now, that's kind of an interesting story, isn't it? I think it is. So, how's everybody doing? I'm doing pretty good. I'm thinking like I need to come up with something else to say. So I'm going to try to do that for you right now. Because I read somewhere here, health officials warn about, and this is a Minnesota news story for you. This is from CBS News, Minnesota. Uh-oh, they're going to scam me with this whatnot. Oh, no. All right. Well, forget that. We'll read this here. So anyway, MDH cautions consumers about illegal high-dose THC products. State officials significantly increasing education, inspection, and enforcement. And so they want... I wish I had that other story. Hold on here. I'm going to try to read this one maybe. Nope. They're not going to let me. Ad blockers. What's the deal with ad blockers? I don't get it. Okay, so there's a new warning for consumers about illegal high-dose THC products. Minnesota health official says they have recently seen products that are 100 times above the legal limit. So let's see, 100 times of 5, was that 500 megs? At Hemp House in Minneapolis Wedge neighborhood, which it sounds like it'd be fun to live in a neighborhood called Wedge, you'll find plenty of drinks and edibles featuring THC. So according to the Minnesota DOH, they're finding products way over the legal limit. Now, I personally say, well, okay, many of these are not legal and some are not safe. So, department said high-risk THC products are required to be destroyed. I say probably they don't need to. Health department said they found close to 40% of THC shops were selling illegal high-dose products or those that appeal to children. But you can't buy anything unless you're an adult, so what are we talking about? The health department finds a violation, and I meant violation. They will issue a correction order. If the problem persists, they can fine businesses up to 10 Gs. Anyway, this guy goes, when in doubt, start with low-dose products. Everybody knows that. Like those that are only 2 mgs per serving. Be an informed consumer and know what you're buying. They say if you come across products with unsafe THC levels, you should file a complaint with the Minnesota Department of Health. I don't think that's going to happen. But I know it's on the other side of this musical break. It's 4:20. Here's Conspirator Up 95.9. And there you have it, Up by Conspirator. That got me kind of hype. I hope y'all dug it. 4:20, we open a big fat bag of cannabis news, and we right at it. So why don't we just go ahead and do that thing we do. Again, you're listening to KRFF 95.9, RadioFreeFargo.org, streaming everywhere on this blue and green marble beat at you. It's your boy, Wilson.
Hey, it's Phil from Canna-Heads. Like this episode? Hit that like button. And if you enjoy the show, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on cannabis news, local and national. Listen live on 95.9 in the Fargo, North Dakota region from 4 to 5 p.m. on Thursday. For our non-Fargo region friends, you can listen on your favorite podcast platform. Just search Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Now enjoy the show.
I ain't gonna wait very long. I don't want to wait. I'm just gonna stop. Okay. All right, I'm back. Okay, let's do it. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. I'm Wilson. Hey, everybody, it's 4:20, man. That's exciting. Isn't it excited? I'm excited. Are you excited? We're all excited. Good. Now you need to calm down. I got to calm down. Everybody's got to calm down. All right, what are we going to talk about first? I don't know. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We usually talk about stuff like this. This is from Cannabis Moment. Arizona officials will stop investigating reports of newborn cannabis exposure if parent is medical cannabis patient. And I love that. That says a lot in that kind of that title. In a medical facility where your health is the utmost, care for the child, very important. Used to be that if cannabis was found present, you got treated like a crack mama with your crack baby. And you had to go through you'd have to go through some crazy red tape to get your baby back. It was horrible. And it just forced people to lie to their medical professional. That's all, you know. You need to be forthright with your medical doctor, okay? And when you're afraid that they're going to treat you like a crack mama and have your baby, you know, in a foster care before you even get the your maternity gown off. This stuff is exciting. So officials in Arizona say they will stop investigating reports of cannabis exposure in newborns so long as the parents are registered medical cannabis patients, which is kind of interesting because I believe cannabis is mostly medical. Okay, I mean, there's a recreational thing to it, you know, but even people recreationally utilizing cannabis gets a health benefit from it. Full stop. The Arizona Department of Child Safety said a state appeals court ruling that upheld parental rights to use medical cannabis means that its own policy must be revised. Yeah, it does. So do it. So that case concerned a mother who petitioned to have her name removed from a registry for people who are deemed to be potential threats to at-risk populations, such as children. See, it's a horrible registry. She was placed on that list after a newborn tested positive for THC metabolites at a hospital. Now, again, I don't love it. Oh, before I forget, if you guys were listening to the segment prior about that 18-year-old idiot that texted the commissioner about an 8-ball, I don't know what I did. I don't know what I typed in, but it's certainly... Okay, so I type a buddy. I text a buddy. I go, yo, man. I said something like, you got the Coke, a cola, right? I'm thirsty, right? You got the Coca-Cola. I'm thirsty. I get a text back. I don't know who you're texting, but you Coke, you're thirsty? Really? LOL. You know? So, I mean, you got to be careful with that stuff, but it can happen to any idiot. You know, I did it. So let's get back into this story. She was placed on that list after a newborn tested positive for THC metabolites at a hospital. So I don't understand, like, if you can be a medical patient, you can utilize it. Even, like, to me, that says how important medical cannabis seems to be in Arizona. Like, I guess if you were concerned, you know, like you would say, well, I need it for my health. I can't stop it even though I got a baby. Is different than smoking and drinking. So the new policy change only affects cases involving parents who are registered medical cannabis patients and does not impact rules surrounding rec use, which I don't know if Arizona's rec or not. Under current law, the department is required to take a report and investigate prenatal substance exposure. A change in state law would be required for the department to no longer take reports on rec prenatal use. And again, I mean, I don't know. The problem with it all is that it's not bad for you per se, but it stays with you a long, long time. You know, so anyway, let me just read that again. Arizona officials will stop investigating reports of newborn cannabis exposure if parents got a cardi card. South Dakota Attorney General releases final ballot explanation for cannabis legalization initiative. So it seems to me like we've got two... Okay, it seems like, you know, I don't know if you guys from North Dakota remember when there were two measures running here. It was an interesting dichotomy. And I think South Dakota's doing something similar too. Because it seems to me, okay, so the office releases final ballot explanation for draft initiated measure that would legalize rec cannabis and create dual use licenses. Prospective ballot received a final explanation, but the chief backer of the proposal says he has no plans to collect signatures or campaign for the change. Don't make sense. Driving under the influence would remain illegal. Everybody knows what it'll be. So sales under the proposal, blah, 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 blah. Qualify for the measure as let's see, 17,000 signatures. Anyway, this Reestroffer, who submitted the proposal, says he currently has no plans to gather SIGs or campaign for the measure, adding he doesn't want to compete with a separate proposal already gathering signatures. I'm currently not planning a campaign. I simply drafted and filed the language to ensure a sensible option was available. So, I mean, is he going to take votes from the real one? You know? I don't know. I prepare what I think is the best option. There's another initiative moving forward, so mine is on hold. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. I've been talking the last few weeks about Georgia saying that they could sell cannabis at a medical pharmacy. DEA sent them a warning letter, said we're bullies and you suck. And we suck, I guess. So Georgia pharmacist, he's very disappointed with DEA warning letter on dispensing cannabis medically. Says that it's an opiate alternative, and it just is. It's a good sleep aid. You know, melatonin's, that's not all it's cracked up to be. Stinking trazodones, bruh? I mean, don't even think you're going to tell me those are better than a natural plant. You know? Now, we can argue route of ingestion. We can talk about ROI all day long, bruh. I mean, I don't think smoking is healthy. I don't. You know, so, there ain't no combustion coming up into this mouth, playa. What are we talking about? Georgia. They're upset, okay? All the pharmacists are mad. They felt as pharmacists that this is a drug and it should be kept in pharmacy. It should be regulated by pharmacy. Why not? For chronic pain, we believe that if we can get patients off these high doses of opioids, the hydros and the oxys, the combos of those, then through the use of medical cannabis, we believe we can contribute to slowing down this opiate crisis. So, I mean, they're calling in cannabis to save the day. DEA should applaud, like I am. Good on Georgia pharmacy, right? So, in the short term, the pharmacies who have started dispensing it would have to stop or risk confrontation from the bullies, DEA. You know, I mean, I feel like the DEA should just be on the border trying to minimize that Chinese fentanyl making its way through Mexico into our neck of the woods. You know, focus on that, DEA, and let the pharmacists, I mean, you ain't the professional when it comes to med distribution. Go get the bad guys and let the Georgia pharmacists do what they do when it comes to medical. Okay. Well, that's probably the only smart thing I'll say today. New York regulators, this is from Ganjapreneur. New York regulators seized 800 plus pounds of cannabis flower during November inspections. New York cannabis regulators seized 812 pounds of the floral, 701 pounds of the edibles, and 61 pounds of the concentrates during its November inspection. 71 shops suspected of conducting unregulated cannabis sales. In a series of inspections, they seized a bunch of stuff. They said the value of all the products, $3 million. Agency said that more than $54 million in unlawful cannabis has been seized. I don't think I like these guys. The number one remedy for the problem of these illicit shops is getting more legal businesses open. Somebody's a genius. New Yorkers want to know where their products are coming from. They know they can rely on safe, trusted, locally grown cannabis when they walk into one of our legal dispensaries. Not always the case. Not the case. It's a business model. They're still going to want to try to sell you crap. I don't want to throw this away. Put it in a pre-roll. Add a little, what are they doing now? Add a little donut in there. Bang. You got so no, that don't mean nothing. But anyway, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson, that's what you tapped into. Thank you for joining me as we move through this 420 bag of cannabis news. Now, cannabis moment. California Police Commission removes cannabis questions from application forms for law enforcement in response to new law. And really, one of these days I should probably do like a family tree, go back to where, it isn't the same. I mean, but when you do it at home, nobody, it's more about, can you do the job? Give them a test. Can they do the job? Okay, you got the job. So I think it's cool that they're not asking them questions anymore, because at the end of the day, it just makes you lie if you're going to lie. Or if you're a Christian like me, you ain't going to lie, so you're just not going to apply, So whatever. As such, several forms have been modified to remove inquiries about a candidate's prior cannabis use. The forms previously asked candidates whether they've used any drugs. But now the language that says there's no need to answer the question if the only substance was cannabis. Wow. That's kind of neat. So, in New Jersey, as you know, 2 Jersey cops were fired for testing positive, and so this is kind of, move to change. Now, cannabis moment again. States that ban cannabis may unintentionally promote unregulated Delta-8 THC products. Federally funded study says. Boy, they're smart there, aren't they? You should have given me the money. I could have told you that. You didn't need to fund the federal government to tell you that the farming bill has allowed, and it's so crazy to me that it gets upheld in court, really, because there's another process. There's just a minute amount of Delta-8 and those HHCs and those, TPOs or whatever. Those cannabinoids are propped up by a synthetically stripping from other places and then using chemicals to get it out from all kinds of stuff to make a concentrate. And it is not bueno, So I'm all about it. But I also know CBG, CBN, great stuff. For sleepy sleep time, boy oh boy, CBG, CBN, doing the Lord's work. Delta-8 in a pinch, but then again, what are you ingesting? You get a little Delta-8 with all your acetate. Delta-8, acetate. But anyway, I'm bored with this topic, so let's keep going. Now, New York Governor Hochul vetoes measures to allow hemp seeds in animal feeds. How dare her? Hemp has a number of uses. That's why we are only now beginning to take advantage of it. New York measures would have allowed for hemp seeds to be part of an animal feed meant for pets, horses, camelids, llamas, alpacas, and got the green light from the State Assembly and Senate. But stinking Governor Kathy, she received a pair of bills, though she effectively stopped them in their tracks with a veto, saying that there's a lack of information about using industrial hemp in this way and pushing for the state to study the topics in an expeditious manner. However, some of the conditions that your stinking cattle is in New York, forced kind of whatever, it's like a sex slave for milk and cheese. Them cows are not treated properly. So, but you don't care about that, right? But a high-protein hemp seed alternative. Whew, we need more information before we do something good. It's ridiculous. To that end, I am directing the D of Agriculture to work with Cornell to research the impacts use of blah, 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 blah. This study is to be completed, and then she'll do whatever she does. Supporters cited nutrition as a key factor, namely that hemp seeds are high in protein and fiber. So Pennsylvania was looking to enact a similar law. Montana is digging it. They passed a law, so how come she can't just get her information from them? Protecting industrial hemp production in New York will encourage greater production and research. It will also open the door for small animal food processors to establish this marketplace. So, anyway, like the article further says, there's other studies that disproved it. Okay, this is from High Times. This is wild. Put on your seatbelt. Shroomed out ex-pilot who tried to cut engines released from jail pending trial. A former Alaska Airlines pilot accused of allegedly trying to cut the engines of a passenger flight while off duty. He was riding up front with his bros. He was released from jail December 7th. An Oregon judge ruled that he should be released with conditions that include keeping far away from all flights. Adventures and bad trips on shrooms can cause a laugh, but certainly not for the family of the accused in this particular case. State prosecutors filed 83 counts of attempted murder against... Whoa, what? Well, I suppose all the people riding, against ex-airline pilot Joseph David Emerson. On October 24th, I do want to add one-third of the Emerson, Lake and Palmer band. I forgot to mention that. Just kidding. Just before he appeared in court with his attorney, Noah, entering not guilty. I don't know how you can do that. Emerson pleaded not guilty to reduced charges and pleaded not guilty to a federal charge of interfering with a flight crew. So, as Emerson declined to comment to the process, his wife, Sarah Stretch, what a great last name, expressed her feelings about the serious situation her husband is now in. I'm saddened that this situation had to happen to my husband and to the people it affected, but I know that it has created a movement and a momentum to help thousands of other pilots. I have no idea what she means. Is he criminally responsible? No. Does he need help? Yes, said the attorney. Does Emerson deserve to be home today with his family, surrounded by his friends? Yes, he does. I don't know, does he? Emerson is accused of trying to cut the engines of a Horizon Air flight traveling from Everett to San Fran while riding in the cockpit as an off-duty pilot. After causing chaos on the flight, he was eventually subdued. Emerson had ate shrooms a full 2 days before the encounter, so in my opinion, he's good. He hadn't slept it off, but whatever. He had been dealing with depression. He had taken psilocybin about 48 hours before he attempted to cut the engine. He had not slept in over 40 hours. He's an idiot. The release conditions include that Emerson undergo mental health services, stay away from drugs, and what not. And he can only be 30 feet away of an operable aircraft. So it means he's sitting back in the bathroom, by the bathroom. Serves that guy right. But man, yeah, how crazy is that? But, I know people that have hallucinated on a plane, but it just seems like you're confined, and if you freak out, you're freaking out, and you got nowhere to go but in front of everybody watching you because you're in their space, So, Stiiizy, they're kind of like, they create like vapes and stuff. They do cannabis products. Big brand. The founder accused of renting to unlicensed dispensaries. According to the LA Times, the founder of popular California brand Stiiizy has allegedly been serving as a landlord to unlicensed cannabis dispensaries. The report outlines how Stiiizy's founder, Tony Wang, owns multiple holding companies that were connected to numerous illegal dispensaries, all while continuing to operate in the legal cannabis space via Stiiizy. A spokesman for Wang and Stiiizy denied all wrongdoing, said Hang has no ties to the illegal cannabis market. Then as soon as Wang Hang found out his tenants were running unlicensed herbs, he tried to evict them. Rumors about licensed cannabis businesses being embroiled in the unregulated market have been rampant for years, and product diversion or back-channel selling of cannabis that was grown legally has been an ongoing issue in many state markets. Earlier this year, Glass House was accused of widespread product diversion through burner distributors, and the brand has filed a lawsuit as it goes. In addition to their cannabis products, Stiiizy also launched a line of products under their Stiiizy hemp label that contained intoxicating hemp-derived ingredients like 8 and can be purchased online. While most intoxicating hemp product brands, the DTD has made a foray into Delta 8. So anyway, like I said, Delta 8 has proliferated widely since the 2018 Farm Bill. The DEA has disputed the interpretation, countering that intoxicating variants of THC extracted synthesized from hemp are still controlled substances. I just don't know how good of a product it is when you're doing that. High times. Now this is interesting here. Denver coppers bust 23 suspects accused of dispensary burglary. The Denver District A announced the arrest of 23 suspected gang members who were responsible for burglarizing more than 40 cannabis dispensaries in the Denver metropolitan area. LEOs in Colorado last week announced the arrest of 23 individuals. Denver Attorney Beth McCann said in a statement that 23 are members of two separate organized crime groups. The arrest came following a lengthy investigation. McCann says the streets of Denver are safer today because of these two investigations. And she's right. The defendants are accused of stealing or carjacking vehicles, using them to burg the dispensos, federal firearms licensees, and other businesses in the Denver metropolitan area. Criminal networks don't pay attention to geographic or jurisdictional boundaries. So the DA added that the 23 burgled more than 40 dispensaries, approximately $780,000 in cash and merch. In addition to motor vehicle and burglary, the defendants will face numerous other felony charges, including aggravated robbery, carjacking, kidnapping, and illegal possession of the boom boom bangies, and violations of the Colorado Organized Crime Control Act, which actually stands for COCA, which is Spanish for coke. So I don't know if they did that on purpose. But if you say COCA, they're not going to assume you mean the Organized Crime Control Act. That's all I'm saying. They're going to think, first of all, you know Spanish, and you're looking for some, an 8-ball from the commissioner. The Denver Police Department has committed significant resources responsible for dismantling criminal groups. And again, cannabis banking bill still pending in Congress, and this would make it a whole lot easier. These dispensaries, everybody knows, are sitting on cash. The bank don't want to deal with them. It's a no bueno. So, Texas activists sue city that refuses to reform cannabis laws despite ballot measure approval. So that's the thing. It's like I don't get it. Activists in Texas are suing the city for failing to reform its cannabis laws. The group Ground Game Texas has been behind several successful ballot initiatives. In an interview, Julie, executive director for Ground Game, said the lawsuit is about forcing the will of the voters. The officials, the coppers, are undermining local democracy. They disregard the clear language of the charter. Whatever policy disagreements, city manager, it's not the job of city staff to ignore the result of lawful initial election. We attempted to negotiate with city manager, city attorney. They ignored us. So they're going to send it to their legal counsel. As of right now, the city has no comment on the lawsuit. So we'll see how that goes. March police in Killeen indicated the following voter approval of the measure. They had released 70% of the individuals they encountered who possess cannabis. But still, you're hemming them up. So, anyway, what are we going to do about the thing? But anyway, you've been listening to Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Every Thursday, get in here, 4:20, I open a big fat bag of cannabis news. And this Thursday was no different. We're getting pretty close to the you-know-what, the big fat man day. So, I'm going to read just some top article titles here, just to get us to the end. So, New York governor announced the state will open a dozen new cannabis shops by year's end. The state cannabis legalization has not really impacted teen use. A federal official says his new youth survey shows stable trends. What else we got? Connecticut's sales of legal cannabis set new monthly record in November. So that's cool. Arizona's legal cannabis sales passed 1 billion mark for 2023 in September. Maryland set another new monthly record. So, I mean, this stuff is crazy. Pennsylvania lawmakers approved bill to allow more medical cannabis companies to vertically integrate. Don't know what that means. Don't care. Alabama medical cannabis regulators award 5 licenses for vertically integrated business. So Columbia Senate shelves cannabis legalization bill and another major setback for advocates. And that's too bad. Federal rescheduling of cannabis could lead to cascade of state level changes. We'll see how that goes. Ohio House lawmakers take up GOP bill to amend voter-approved cannabis law as alternative to Senate overhaul. I mean, man, they just love to mess around like that for show. So, what else do we got here? Missouri expunges 100,000 cannabis offenses in first year of legalization. Virginia senator is confident a bill legalizing cannabis sales can reach the governor's desk. We'll see how that. Colombia eliminates fine for drug possession as lawmakers push for urgent cannabis legalization vote before end of year deadline. And so there you go. Anyway, you've been listening to Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. I've kind of come to a close. Programming on 95.9 FM. Radio Free Fargo, KRFLP has been underwritten by Drummer's Journey. Drummer's Journey offers percussion instruments, hardware, electronics, accessories, and more. They have a full service for drummers, including repair, custom building, and lessons. Drummer's Journey is located at Highway 10 East Mall in Moorhead. Their hours are Monday through Thursday, 11 to 7. Fridays and Saturdays, 11 to 5. Sundays, noon to 5. For more info, check drummersjourney.com. They have a profile on Facebook. Now, I'm going to play another Christmas tune. This is from the Small Town Titans. They're like, this guy's voice is like, so we're going to do You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, 95.9. Oh, you're a mean one, Mr. Grinch, Small Town Titans with a big voice, man. We have literally zero paint left in the studio here on the walls. It was, I mean, my hair is sticking straight up. 95.9 KRFF, RadioFreeFargo.org, streaming everywhere on this blue and green marble. We can get into your ear hole, and we love to do so. Stay with us, be with us, donate to us. It's the end of the year. It's Christmas time, for crying out loud. Anyway, my time is about up here. Stay tuned for Stinky Arts, the Music Mart mixtape that Artemis Blood Shrine wraps up your Thursday. Again, I believe God created cannabis for us to use as we see fit, and I show him props every Sunday. 417 Main Avenue, Antioch Church. 10 a.m. we do a recovery class. 11 a.m. worship. This Sunday we got a 6 p.m. Christmas deal. So there you have it. I'm on stick duty. Come on through. This show is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy. Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook. Black Cottage Alchemy. Body butter. Put it on your skin. Your skin will be happy. And we'll all be happy. Thank you, Black Cottage Alchemy, for sponsoring this show. I am going to mosey out the door and do what I do. And I want you to do what you do. As long as that means you're coming back next Thursday, 4 o'clock. Okay, so I'm going to jump out of here because that's what I'm going to do. But I will say this. Educate yourselves on the benefits of cannabis so you can educate others on said benefits. Till next time, toodly-doo. David Allen, Judgment Day. Peace.